So we're back at the allotment. I ran out of time yesterday to get the seeds planted, and I forgot the most crucial ingredient for getting the seeds down, which is the plant labels. They're all hidden somewhere in there, so wish me luck finding them. If you haven't got any plant labels for your saplings and seedlings, then you have absolutely no... look at that! Found them straight away. But yeah, if you don't have these, you don't know what you're growing. All of the seedlings look pretty much the same, and you end up with some nasty surprises. Here I was growing a boatload of chili plants, and I had them in a small sort of plastic greenhouse just in the back garden, and that blew over in the storm. And with the chili peppers, all of their plant labels went everywhere as well. So I had about 50 unlabeled pots, and I didn't know what I was growing until they started fruiting in sort of August. So I was nursing them for a whole year, absolutely no idea what I was growing. We don't want to repeat that, so I'm glad I found these. So I'm back home, but I just wanted to quickly highlight that this window, which is kind of west facing, northwest facing, is about the only growing space I've got for the start of this year until I can get the greenhouse glazed and properly set up. This is my chocolate habanero plant, which never actually set fruit last year, so I was a bit precious about it and thought I'd try and overwinter it, and it's doing very well. So with the chili plant out of the way, the growing space doesn't look like much, but it's actually enough to get these 3 propagators on there, and hopefully, despite the fact that it's kind of a northwest facing window, hopefully these will get enough light to survive until I can get the greenhouse sorted. This one is a heated propagator. This should be really good for the tomato seeds and the chili seeds to get them off to a good start, because they're the ones that need a long season. So we've got quite a lot of potential, despite there being a small space, to get a lot of stuff started off. So I thought I'd do a super quick run through of some of the seeds I've got for this year. Starting with this box, there's about 13 different varieties of chilies. Chili seeds in there. I'm by no means an experienced grower, but last year I got really into growing chilies, and I made a sort of custom greenhouse in the garden out of pallets and plastic. It wasn't elegant and it wasn't pretty, but it worked really well. This year I can't really do that with the chilies, so they'll be taking a back seat. I'll probably just be growing cayenne peppers this year. They're probably my favourite and relatively simple to grow. So the salads, I've got a couple of these came free with a book. The rest I got from Seed Parade, which seems like a fairly reputable site. So I'm hoping we'll get good germination rates. I've got these salad leaves, some lettuce leaves here as well, which are all year round. Some wild rocket and spinach, so I should be able to get some nice salads and hopefully crop those throughout the year. Some Alexandria strawberries, which are these are kind of an alpine strawberry. They're really small. They look a bit weird as well, but they're meant to be really sweet and tasty. Some brassicas, my onions, some tomatoes, so I'll be getting those on today, hopefully. Some carrots, which I'm a bit nervous about. Growing carrots is quite difficult, and they're relatively cheap to buy from the supermarket, so sometimes they can seem like a bit of a wasted effort, but we'll see. Some courgettes and cucumber. The cucumber is designed to grow outdoors, so I don't need to keep that in a greenhouse or anything like that. It should do well outdoors. And then I've got some sort of garlic chives and spearmint, which are companion plants really. Most of the seeds I've got are ready to germinate now. It's the start of March. We're in the south of the UK, so there's quite a good climate, a relatively long growing year. As you can see, it's extremely limited for space, but I'm going to try and get these ones in today. We've got our salads over here, the spinach, the lettuce, and these Andean superfood salad leaves, which might be interesting. The strawberries, the earliest of all cabbage, they want to go in really quick, as well as these tomatoes. They need a long growing year, so the earlier the better for these. Purple sprouting broccoli I'm going to put in as well. That should be ready for kind of this time next year almost. It will lie dormant over winter and start sending out shoots in February, hopefully. And the onions need to go in as well. The onions and the tomatoes are ones I really would have liked to have got in this time last month, but due to moving and all that, I've not been able to. So in terms of growing medium, I've just got this bag of John Innes specific seed sowing compost, which is probably overkill. I mean, this is the stuff that you buy if you really want stuff to do well, and you probably don't need it for a lot of the stuff that I'm growing. But we found a job lot very cheap going in the garden centre at the end of last year, and the shed is completely full up of compost, so I might as well use it. It's got to be used, and it should have pretty good results. So first things first, I'm just going to start filling up the modules with the potting mixture that we've got. You can see here that I'm kind of trying to break up any big clumps with my hands just as I do it. A better way, if you've got the equipment, is to put this all in a bucket and pre-wet it. Maybe mix in additives such as vermiculite or perlite, which help with kind of moisture retention and drainage. But I was doing the best I could with what little time and equipment I had today. So once modules are full, I just then go over with the watering can and quickly wet it in. So once the potting mixture is in and it's been wetted, the seeds are going on top. I've taken a fairly scattergun approach here with the seeds just resting on the soil. It might have been better if I had pricked a hole in the middle with my finger, just a depression in the middle, and then just sort of 3 or 4 seeds in each module. But I really wanted to get as many seeds in here as I could to get the most successful germinations. And then once the seeds are down, I sprinkle another layer of soil on top. So that's it. We've got most of the seeds in, and a really important step once you've got the seeds in and covered over with the fine layer of soil is to go around like you did before and just compress the soil a little more. This is really important because when you water them, which I'm going to do in a second, it makes sure that the seeds don't all find their way through the gaps and float to the surface. With the exception of spearmint, all of the other seeds that we've got here today, they all need to be submerged in the soil. Spearmint, interestingly, the seeds actually need light to germinate, which is unusual, but the rest of them have all had a light layer of compost. And I'm just tamping them down, give them a water, and they should be ready. Next 2-3 weeks we should start to see some life emerging. Now, I've always been told it's very important to use a watering can with a rose whenever you're watering in your seedlings, but I don't know where mine has gone. It's missing, and I need to get this done today, so I'm just going to try and sort of diffuse the flow from that with my fingers and hope for the best. We'll see how it goes. You'll notice later on that I'm trying to germinate different seed species within the same trays. This isn't ideal, and what you would normally do is have a tray per species. So for example, all your cabbages would go in a tray, or your peppers would go in a tray, or your carrots would have their own tray. And this means you can control the conditions for them individually, and you can provide them exactly what they need. I've not had the space to do that, so I've mixed in different seeds within different trays, but where possible I've tried to keep the seeds together that will have similar needs. So, welcome back. It's been about a week since we put the seeds in to germinate. There's been some activity, possibly some mistakes. Let's have a little look, see what's going on. So, going from left to right, I suppose I'll start with the cayenne peppers. I've seen very little activity here so far, but there are 1 or 2 just starting to poke their heads out of the soil. Now, the lack of activity here could be because it's only been a week and they take a little bit longer. The heated propagator is doing a really good job of heating up this soil. It is surprisingly warm, and the chili peppers do like a warmer soil to get started. Now, these seeds that I've planted are homegrown. They were homegrown last year, and it could be something to do with the chili peppers that I harvested them from, or the way that I've stored the seeds. Could be what's leading to them not having a very successful germination. So next onto the tomatoes. I've got the 2 varieties here, the Golden Sun tomato and the Chirola. The Golden Sun is fairly ubiquitous. It's a very attractive yellow looking tomato. I've never grown it before. Quite excited. You can see the germination rate here has been fantastic. They've come up pretty quick, nice and strong. Just next to them we've got the F1 Chirola, which was a unique and interesting one that kind of caught my eye and that I wanted to test out. I planted only 5 seeds here, and you can see two of them have germinated successfully, and I'm not seeing any signs of the other ones coming up. So it might just be that we only have 2 of those. If so, I might plant some more. I've only got 10 seeds that came in the packet, so we'll see with those. So now we move on to the lettuce in this tray. And you can see the all year round butterhead lettuce has been extremely successful with its germination rate. In truth, I've probably sown far too many in this soil, but it looks happy to germinate almost everywhere. Look at this one. This one isn't even in the soil. It's just on the edge of the modules there. So that's it's a good start, but obviously lettuce is one that you really want to be successional. You don't want to have a big glut of this. So I'll prick some of these out, but it's likely I'll keep 6 or 7 of the strongest, and maybe in another week I'll try and sow some more of these. Next we have the Andean salad, which has got very little activity. I'm assuming that these little seedlings popping up are the Andean superfood leaves. I don't recall the seeds being that small, and they do look like very delicate seedlings. It could be that it's too wet in here. I mean, these trays are all looking still very wet 6 days on. They've mostly had the plastic on top because it's not been warm, and this is a northwest facing window, so it doesn't get much light. It probably hasn't had much opportunity to dry out. That might be my biggest mistake, but from what I know, generally seedlings do like to germinate in very moist soil. So I'll continue looking here and see what comes up. The spinach, also not too successful. We've got 3 sort of early germination here, but it remains to be seen whether or not this one has been super successful. This is Medania spinach, or Medania. So on to the next tray, we have the spearmint seeds in this first row. They have shown absolutely no activity whatsoever. So these are the ones that categorically need light. They shouldn't be covered by soil. And you can see the soil level is a bit low in there, and light levels on this windowsill are quite low anyway. So it could be that. From what I know about them, it can take them a good 2 weeks until they germinate. So it might just be that they're a little bit further behind. Next we have the early sprouting purple broccoli, which really mixed results depending on which module you look at here. You can see this one closest to me it's gone bananas. There are absolutely loads in there. The next 3, there's just 1 or 2. So this is why I was saying that I was planting probably far more seeds than I needed, because I'm not the most experienced and I didn't know what was going to come up. So next one along, another brassica, the cabbage. A similar story really. This first module has come up really strong. There's a good number in there, but then in the second, third and fourth, nothing at all. Next we have the Bedfordshire champions, the onions. They're just starting to poke through. Once again though, you do see it seems to be module specific, the ones that are succeeding, which is very interesting. I don't know what it means. There's nothing that's immediately discernible. And finally my strawberries, my alpines, once again these are showing no activity whatsoever. It's only been a week, and anything you read says it takes up to 2 weeks for a seed to germinate. So I haven't lost hope on things like the strawberries or the spearmint. I was hoping for slightly better on the onions, certainly. I know that a lot of people prefer growing onions from set, but I'm trying seed. The spinach, I would be really happy if this was a bit more successful. The lettuce is obviously a success story. Going to be eating lots of salad later this year. Good show on the tomatoes early on, but we'll see. I would really like to start planting some of the other seeds that I've got lined up, but realistically, until I get the greenhouse sorted out, this is all I've got for now. So if you have any tips or advice for me, or you think you know where I might have gone wrong with these seeds, please do let me know. Like I've said before, and like I will keep saying, I am by no means an expert. So if you do think I'm doing something wrong, please do let me know. Any tips or advice would be gratefully appreciated. Really, I just wanted to document my journey, what I'm doing this year, share it with others, and hope that people enjoy it. I will obviously keep you updated with what's going on. The sleepers have arrived, which is very exciting. They just need to be cut down to size and transported to the allotment, and then once they're up there and they're secured together, then we should be able to look at getting the greenhouse on. I do need to look into getting some extra glass or maybe some polycarbonate to replace some panes which broke, and obviously it's very important to get the greenhouse all done on sort of one day, because if you leave any gaps or anything like that, it's a vulnerability, and if there's a windy day, then it could blow out all the remaining glass and we could have a disaster on our hands. So I'll keep you updated. Look out for the greenhouse episode. That should be next.